Today's episode is a courageous story with Sarah Atkins, who is a human design energetics coach. She is bringing human design and neurodiversity to the UK so that we can understand more about our sensitivities and our vulnerabilities versus strengths and how our energy flows. Please listen to today's episode. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Hello, you're listening to the Courageous Goals podcast. This podcast is for high achieving, courageous women who want growth and the know-how to scale their business online. Running a business is a journey and a process. The more we learn in action, the more we succeed. If you're a woman in business, this is the podcast for you. Be in the 5% of businesses that make it. Let's get bold and create the life we desire. I'm bringing my passion to you through advice, coaching, inspiration, and support to help you create and design the life and business you want to live. I am a Dubsado expert, CPD certified in social media platforms, and a lover of admin systems and processes. I am an accredited ICF coach, specialising in trauma and narcissism. My own coaching journey has supported my growth immensely, and I want to share those highlights with you to inspire and give you courage. Let's get intentional with our goals and make them happen. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Courageous Goals podcast. Today's guest is Sarah Atkins, who is an accredited ICF coach and loves human design. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself? Because I'm sure you can do it better.
Hi, Leanne. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I am an ICF accredited coach. I focus on energetics. So I call myself an energetic alignment coach. And I actually use, in human design, the fact that I love it is probably more of an obsession, to be honest. But I now use it as a tool, a coaching tool with my clients to help them gain a deeper understanding of themselves, what makes them tick, and with a big focus of kind of energetic flow and moving from friction into flow.
Okay, that sounds fascinating. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. How did you come up with your business name? How did you start out in business?
So it's interesting, really. I have kind of like a quite a varied background. And the reason my business is called Sarah Atkins Design is not actually the reason why I have my business now, funnily enough. So I started out, I worked in the fashion industry. I have a background in textile design.
Okay.
Which is where the Sarah Atkins Design came from, because I was doing freelance design work, both textiles and a bit of graphic design as well. And actually during that time, I started coaching and mentoring other creatives in their sort of business development. Because I also have a teaching background, and sort of coaching and mentoring has been part of my career, I suppose, for well over 10 years. And then in 2020, I had the opportunity to kind of formalize my coach training and become ICF accredited. So very much what I started with was kind of coaching creatives, hence the design part fitted still, because I was still doing a bit of my creative work. And then gradually over the last sort of 2 to 3 years, I suppose, which is why I decided to formalize it in 2020, is kind of merged more towards coaching, with less. I do my own creative work, but it's more for myself really, rather than actual clients. And human design kind of found me in 2020. And I've kept the business name because it sort of fits with what I'm doing, but it's a very different type of work now.
How fascinating. And I love that you could still use that name. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's just very serendipitous, I suppose.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So what sort of textiles and things do you do?
It was patterns, sort of for interiors and fashion textiles. So repeat patterns. I love flowers and like sort of flora and fauna. So I would very much do kind of repeating patterns with different flowers, foliage, that kind of thing. So I have a slight obsession with William Morris, for anybody who is a bit of a textile design boffin, and Sonia Delaunay are my favourites. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. I've heard of William Morris, but I don't know much about him. But I also did textiles GCSE at school.
Ah.
So I think we all kind of have a similar creative background. When you're in that kind of space, that industry, you kind of have a similar path. So tell us a bit more about human design and energetics and kind of what it entails.
So, well, as I've said, human design was never part of my business plan at all. It wasn't even part of my coaching in like business. It kind of found me by accident, I suppose. I was part of a group program, sort of mini mastermind back in 2020, when I was looking to kind of grow my business and sort of elevate things. And I was introduced through this mastermind to human design, and it didn't really kind of float my boat. I was a bit like, yeah, interesting, but I'm quite a logical person. I need kind of evidence. I need things to kind of give me a bit of like backup. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the esoteric stuff, but I kind of crave a bit of evidence, if that makes sense. I have, like I said, I have a very logical kind of way of processing information.
Yeah.
And at the time, so I have 3 boys. At the time, we had been struggling a little bit with my eldest son. I had been pursuing an assessment because I've suspected for years and years. I think like a mum knows your children better than anybody else. But I felt that there were sensory processing issues, and I wanted to understand more about his sensitivities. So when I got a bit deeper into human design, I thought, I wonder if this might give me some indicators, because it's all about your energetics. It pulls in lots of different things. It's not just one thing. And it is fascinatingly kind of being proven by science. And it's about your kind of genetics. So it can kind of give you it's not a diagnostic tool by any means, but it can give you some insights into how you process energy and how your energy flows. So when I looked at his human design chart, all of a sudden I was like, there was so many aha moments. So he's highly sensitive, and the evidence of that is in his human design chart. So then I thought, well, actually, okay, I suspect my middle son, and it had been bandied around a little bit that maybe he's on the autistic spectrum. And I thought, well, okay, let's have a look at his chart. And again, some of his just innate qualities and characteristics, the things that I know that he does, again, I could see why in his chart. It's completely different to my eldest son. And then I did my youngest son, and it sounds really awful as a parent, but I found it really hard to understand my youngest son to start off with. He came across as being really needy. Like, I couldn't understand why he was so demanding of my attention, like, because my other 2 were very much chilled out and quite sort of okay to kind of go with the flow a little bit more. But he was very demanding. And then I discovered that he is a completely different energy type to the rest of us in our family. And I started going, okay, there might be something in this. So I started digging in a little bit deeper, and I started understanding how they work a little bit and the dynamics of how they work together. So I introduced it to my husband, who's massively like not even the slightly remotest bit woo. And we had some conversations. He was like, actually, can you read my chart for me? And I was like, well, yeah, I can have a look and see. And as a result of the work that we've done with him on his chart, he completely changed his career after 15 years, and he is happier than he's ever been.
Wow. Oh my God.
And my youngest son is no longer coming across as needy or demanding. Like, his energy needs are being met. He's so confident now. My eldest son is aware of his own sensitivities and is able to kind of he's able to regulate his emotions much better now. were able to meet his needs. And like, honestly, their family dynamics have changed massively. So I realized that there was something more, or there was something in this that people need to know and understand.
And I was just going to say, I think that awareness is key in absolutely everything. So once you know, you can kind of make those adaptations and do things differently, and like really think about, what does that person need? Or if it's yourself, what do I need? Because I recognize I'm doing this, or I'm, whatever.
Yes, 100%. And that's the thing. I'm like, because I think when you're going down neurodiversity and diagnosis route, some people are really concerned about labeling, things like that. And I want to kind of emphasize that when we did this, and I did it in conjunction with their human design, I did it not because I want to fix anything or because I wanted to help them conform. It wasn't anything about that. It was about really understanding them as the individual and kind of meeting their needs and empowering them to advocate for their own needs as well. Because I think so many of us as adults don't know what we necessarily need because we're so busy meeting the needs of other people and trying to fit in. And I didn't want that for my kids.
Yeah. I just want to share with you quickly. So my daughter is on the waiting list for an ASD assessment.
Okay, yeah.
And when I spoke to her teacher recently, she shared with me that because, like you say, everyone's worried about labels. And she said labels are for jam jars and diagnosis is for awareness.
Yeah.
And I just thought, how amazing is that? And I've told so many people and they're just like, I absolutely love this.
Yeah, I do love that.
And people just, I don't think they realize, it's not about having a label. It's just about how that person can get support if they need it, and just being aware of, what they need.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fascinating.
Some of the best compliments I've had is since we started doing this work. So I started working with my boys on this. My oldest one is very aware. My younger two are still a little bit young. I do it with them, even though they don't really know what I'm doing. But my oldest is in year 8 at secondary school, and he is aware. We've had a few existential crises, which human design has kind of come to the rescue, really, being able to talk him through some things that are going on. And the best compliments that we've had from his teachers is that he's so emotionally aware, he's so emotionally intelligent, and he's really good at articulating like what is going on for him, how he feels, why he feels the way he does. And can you imagine if all our kids could understand that about themselves at such a young age?
Yeah, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, I love all of this stuff. I could read about it all day. But yes, we must move on. So what motivates you in your business?
So it's changed over the years, and my boys are a very big part of my why, but it's not just them. I spent far too many years trying to fit in, trying to shoehorn myself into a career that didn't necessarily fit, but it paid well and it was exciting. And I've been there, and I used to think I was the only person, but actually I think the further down you go through life, you come across and meet more and more people that have had similar experiences. And what motivates me is to support people knowing who they are, like really tuning into who they are, embracing who they are, the dark and the light sides. Like, we've all got both sides to our personalities. But can you imagine what an amazing world this would be if the next generation were able to grow up truly loving who they are, being confident, feeling empowered? Like, it would just eradicate so much hate, so much division, and just so much not enoughness. Do you know what I mean? I feel so, and it kind of feels like I'm being quite lofty when I say this, and I know us British are not so good at kind of bigging ourselves up, but part of my kind of bigger mission is like, it is a lofty mission. I want to change the world, and I want to start at the beginning, and it starts with the next generation, it starts with our children. And if I can even just change a couple of lives for the better, then it's that ripple effect, which all coaches know that that's one of the things that motivates us the most.
Yeah, definitely. And who knows what those people's lives who you change could do for so many other people.
Absolutely.
So it all starts somewhere, definitely. It does sound cheesy, doesn't it? But it's so true.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so who or what has been your biggest supporter?
So, John, my long-suffering, incredible husband, who we have been together, bless him, for 23 years this year. So we're kind of at this cusp point now where I've actually been with him longer than I haven't. And
oh wow.
Yeah, it's funny. I was only 20 when I met him. And actually I've made myself younger. It's actually 24 years this year that we've been together. And he's been with me side by side through many iterations of this journey that we call life. He as well, he's like had multiple different careers, but we've always kind of supported each other, and it's a partnership. And I'm not saying, we've been fortunate enough to be able to continue growing and going in similar directions. That each time, I'm not saying it's been easy, it hasn't. We've had massive downs and massive sort of adversity that we've kind of faced, but it's interesting how we kind of have managed to kind of stay together and grow together. And even when I apparently take us down these random rabbit holes, but yeah, we've had two big relocations, career changes, 3 children. Yeah but he's always there.
Life things that test you, but you're still standing strong together.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Okay, so what's unique about you and your business and what you do?
So it's funny, isn't it? Because when you asked me this question, I thought it was really fascinating, because I don't really think I am unique. But then I think sometimes, so like I believe that we are all unique, but I was like, what's special about me? Because I think when you're kind of just being you don't realize that you being you is special. So I thought this was a really good question. And actually, when I ask other people, one of the things, or there's several things that people come to me and say when they connect with me, and I guess that's what makes me a bit different. I am who I am, and I can't be anything but. Like, some people find that a bit blunt, some people find it a bit unsettling, but I am who I am. I apparently, and obviously I don't receive it, so I don't know it, I bring with me this quiet confidence, this real kind of solidity. Like, I know who I am, what direction I'm going in, and that brings reassurance to people. I bring authenticity, I bring integrity. And when I work with my clients, I genuinely care. Like, I care at a very deep level. I can't explain how it is. It can be to my own detriment. It's one of the reasons I left teaching, because I get too invested and I care too much, if that's even a thing, to the point where I will kind of sacrifice myself, which can kind of err onto the unhealthy. But I am now aware of that. But I do bring all of myself. So when you are working with me, I am all in, and you've got me for that sort of moment in time. My challenge is kind of unconsciously uncoupling, I suppose, from my clients, in a positive way. And this is the thing, is you don't want to, there's the kind of bittersweetness when you're coaching somebody, because you get so into working with your clients, you love working with them, but at the same time, like, to see them grow and flourish and no longer need you, that's like a real epic feeling.
Yeah, I bet that you've helped them on that transformation.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'm intrigued to know now what your human design type is.
Yeah. So I'm an emotional generator, unsurprisingly. My emotional connection is a very big part of who I am. I'm a generator type, so I am a high energy type. I'm classed as a high energy type. Creative. I'm here to create, do, make, and build. That's what I do. And I have some specific things in my chart. So I have the channel of connection, which means I bring a deep connection. I have this ability to go deep emotionally with my clients and kind of really get to the root of what's going on for them. So, you know, when you have those clients that say, oh, I just need to do this, or I just need to do that. And you kind of, I see the thing behind the thing.
Yeah.
And that is very much part of my human design. I another little thing in my human design chart is I have their line 3 profile, which is the experimenter. So I am constantly testing, trying, doing it. I used to think it was quite a negative thing because it makes me appear quite changeable, but I live my life through experience, and I use that experience to teach and coach and mentor others. So you're in safe hands. I've already made all the mistakes that everybody else has.
Right, okay. So everyone's version of success is different for us all individually. What do you think your secrets to your success are?
Oh, this is a really interesting one because I think I'm still learning. I'm still growing, I'm still developing, and I think that's actually possibly part of the secret to success for me, again because of that line 3. Accepting that a failure isn't a failure, it's a first attempt in learning, and kind of giving myself grace. So being adaptable, going with the flow, being able to tune into people and actually responding to the right things, so that I'm not overworking, overdoing, not hustling. It's all about the flow energy rather than the hustle.
Yeah.
I would say that's the secret. And I've only just recently I say recently, 2 years ago, I realized that, because the second I took a step back and stopped the hustle, that's when my business kind of took off, really.
Yeah. When you step back and see things from a different angle,
Yeah.
it all changes, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you like to achieve next? So for anyone that's listening or reading all about you, what would you like to share?
So my big dream, I've got a few things in mind, but I want to bring human design to the coaching space on a bigger scale. So I'm working on a program around that, which is human design for coaches. And then the other thing that I really want to bring out into the world is a human design program for families, to help kind of bring that awareness to families, to parents, to help them understand their children at a much deeper energetic level, to help meet their energetic needs, so that we can kind of bring up, and I guess it's like walking my talk, it's empowering the next generation to truly embrace who they are, so that they can kind of step into their power and bring their gifts to the world, in a confident way.
Yeah, that totally makes sense from what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, I can see you doing that. When do you hope to do it? That's
Yeah, now isn't that the big question? So
I won't hold you accountable, so don't worry.
So the human design for coaches, I am looking to launch in the next few weeks, and I am currently on the lookout for a family to work with, to trial working with me on a 6-month basis, to see what we can do in terms of improving communication, emotional regulation, and family dynamics. So it would be like a more of a one-to-one container. And I'm currently on the lookout for a family at the moment, to work with me through 2023.
Fabulous. Okay, so I'll make sure I put all your links in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. So if you've got any top tips for people, for women in business, what would they be?
Trust yourself. When that is the single biggest thing, is don't look at what everybody else is doing. It's the hardest thing in the world to not kind of think, oh, they've got a magic pill, or they've got a magic system, or they've got this, or they've got that. Trust yourself. If something feels good and feels right to you, and you genuinely get excited about it, then do it. Yeah, that makes sense, definitely. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to share? No, I don't think so. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to say. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on the podcast. I was really looking forward to this. So human design is fascinating. And just to let everybody know, you are doing a masterclass in our group. I think it's the 16th of November. So if anyone would like to come along, then yes, please head on over. I'm sure Sarah would welcome you all. So thank you, Sarah, for joining me today. And I hope to share a lot more courageous stories along the way.
Thanks very much for having me, Leanne.
Thank you so much for listening to the Courageous Goals podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode and taken something of value for you. If you'd love more advice, coaching, inspiration and support, head on over to join many other courageous women in business in our free community group over on Facebook. We'd love to welcome you. You can also find free useful resources over on the website at leannebrown.com/resources. Right, that's all for this week. I look forward to sharing another episode with you next week.